Yield, I now recognize Ms. King-Hinds from the beautiful Northern Mariana Islands for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I join the members in expressing my condolences to the chairman. Thank you to all the witnesses for your testimony today and for making time to be with us. Under SBA definitions, all businesses in my district, the Northern Mariana Islands, are small businesses. That is why I'm so grateful to serve on this important committee so I can speak about their challenges here in the 119th Congress. Businesses in my district operate in one of the most remote parts of our country. This geographic isolation drives up operating costs, limits access to customers and capital, and in recent years, we've seen a growing sense of hopelessness. Some would say straight up despair because our primary industry, which is tourism, has yet to recover from the impacts of COVID-19. Testimonies today cited a 2023 study of the National Association of Manufacturers, which found that federal regulations cost an estimated $12,800 per employee across all sectors of the U.S. economy, and this highlights some of our challenges. To put that figure in perspective, in my district, that would suggest that the cost of regulatory compliance in the Northern Marianas is 38% of our total gross domestic product and 25% of all business revenue made in the islands. What makes this so challenging is despite the many one-size-fits-all regulations, there is no one-size-fits-all application of benefits for small businesses in my district. For example, while SBA has made significant investments in the CNMI in response to natural disasters and the pandemic, in programs like the SBA's Restaurant Revitalization Fund, my district had the lowest approval rate in the nation with nearly 90% of applications denied. Despite the dire need for capital among entrepreneurs, participation in SBA's flagship 7A loan guarantee program is far below national averages. It is clear that the federal government must do more to recognize and address the realities of businesses in isolated communities like mine. National policies already create challenges for small businesses, but for places like the CNMI, these challenges are magnified. As this committee looks to support President Trump's effort to unleash small businesses in our community, I ask that we take a critical look at how Congress can do more to support the unique needs of these businesses in areas like the CNMI and do our part to break away from one-size-fits-all policies on funding, capital access, labor, and market access. It is around 2 a.m. now from where the people that I represent live. We are 15 hours ahead of Washington, D.C., and when the sun comes up in the mainland, it's nighttime back home. In many ways, our horizons are different. I have seen the data that many businesses in the United States have rebounded from the pandemic and have grown beyond it. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the Northern Marianas. I do believe, however, that hope is on the horizon, and I ask for this committee's partnership to make sure that despite the distance and the obstacles, when hope does make it over the horizon, it's something that we can all celebrate. So I'm here trying to be a better champion for the people in my community, and I guess I'm looking to champion policies that address rural, isolated communities like mine. And so this question is to you, Ms. Frazier. One of the biggest issues for businesses in my district is access to capital. Traditional banking models often struggle to serve high-cost, low-volume markets in sparsely populated areas like the CNMI. In your experience, how can federal policies better support community banks in small population centers so they can extend capital to businesses that are viable but geographically disadvantaged?
Well, thank you for that question. I'm going to answer that with two fronts, if I may. And you spoke about the one-size-fits-all regulation and how it impacts the small businesses. And it impacts us when banking regulations are one-size-fits-all. And it puts us in boxes and makes us have to operate very similar to much more out-of-market larger competitors, where what you've indicated is your businesses need that personal relationship. They need that ability to have a banker that they can work with and help them with a customized product. SBA with a guarantee or not, it's how do those cash flows come into that business? How can the bank help them support it when they need it the most? So the tiered regulation, recognizing thresholds, would be critically important for us. And I'm going to go back to the 1071 because if applied the way it's intended or the way it's now currently written, forget the 81 data points. It says that we have to separate the person from the decision. And so the person that is actually working with the client, understanding their business, is not part of the decision, and that can really impact the ultimate outcome.
Thank you for that. So going back to these one-size-fits-all regulations, do you see a disproportionate impact with regards to rural banks in your experience?
I do. You know, I have the great benefit of visiting several states over the past year and meeting a lot of bankers, and I've met bankers that are running off of 7 employees. Imagine trying to implement these regulations with 7 employees, but they're serving a tiny, tiny community with all that they need. And so it's unbearable for them to bear that.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlelady's time